Hello guys! In this episode of the Sandbox Game Maker tutorial, I would like to teach you absolute basics about the Maker UI. No time to waste, so let's get started. Voxel aliens. Great. So basically that's the first view you'll ever receive after launching New Land in Sandbox Game Maker. At first it might be a bit confusing if you've never been working on the game engine before, but trust me, you're gonna used to it. As I've already said, it's the game engine, so let's begin with the switch mode button that allow us to port into our experience as the player. We can find those buttons at the top center of the screen. As you can see, there are two buttons, the play mode button and the editor mode button, that is currently on. That's because we are already in the editor mode. So let's switch the mode by pressing the play button. After short loading, we are gonna appear in the scene as the player. But apart from the player spawner, the scene is completely empty. So let's get back to the editor. If we move our cursor a bit left from the mode buttons, we can find global parameters. After pressing the button, we can see global parameters menu with a lot of variables. I will create separate episode covering this whole component. Going left, we've got the rules menu, where we can add the welcome screen and insert quests to our experience. Once again, I will explain those components in different episodes. Continuing left, we've got restore and undo buttons. Like in many other programs, it cancels and restores latest done action. Same as in other programs, you can use the shortcut CTRL Z to cancel and CTRL Y to restore. I will list all useful shortcuts in the description. Next we've got save button, and as the name suggests, it allows us to save our work. I highly recommend saving your work frequently and developing muscle memory to automatically pressing Ctrl+S, because of course this shortcut works here too. Okay, now in top left corner we've got the house icon that allows us to return to main menu. Of course we don't wanna do this right now, so let's get back to the UI. Now we've got the button with the brush icon, and as the icon might suggest, this tool allows us to paint with blocks. As you can see, with this tool you are able to create different shapes out of blocks. Going further, we've got the movement tool. It lets us freely move the object around the scene. Next, we've got the rotation tool. That's similar to movement tool, let us select the object and rotate it freely. Okay, the next icon stands for the selection tool. To better demonstrate it, I will add more objects to the scene. And as you can see, thanks to this tool, we can select all those objects and later move them or rotate, whatever you want to do. Going further, we've got the preset creation button that let us create the preset out of the selected objects. I will dedicate separate video to the presets because they are very useful. And for this episode, you can see that this preset has been added to our store. Next button is hidden in the bottom left corner, and it stands for hierarchy. As you can see, after adding lots of objects to the scene, they appear in the hierarchy. We can then select them there and do whatever we want to. Once again, I will dedicate separate episode to the hierarchy cause it's very powerful tool. Next UI element we want to cover are the dots at the bottom center of the screen. And after pulling them up to the middle of the screen, we can see the whole library of objects that we can use in our experience. All objects are grouped by type. So if we want to find a specific block but we don't know its name, we can just select blocks and find it manually. Other categories that can be found here are the entities, equipment, art, presets and logic. And as every other category might seem obvious, the logical assets might not be this simple. For now, you should just know that every mechanism logic is done with these. I will create the video explaining the proper use of this powerful tool. To display next interface box, we need to add one entity to our scene. As you can see, when the entity is selected, we can see properties box on the right side of the screen. You can observe a lot of variables in here that modifying may affect in different outcomes. Again, explaining everything in this video would make it last around 40 minutes, so I'm afraid I need to tell once again that I will make different video explaining this topic. The last thing I want you to learn from this video is the difference between entity and block. As I've said earlier, entity contains properties, which can be changed as we wish. And the blocks can be interpreted as solid bodies. We can't do anything about them. It's very important in here to highlight that the blocks have strict mesh that they snap to. As you can see right now, my mouse button is right between two possible block locations, and the block jumps between them. There is no possibility to place it in the middle. And the entities, on the other hand, you can move them freely and place them everywhere you want. Last difference I want to highlight is the difference in getting rid of those objects from the scene. To delete the blocks from the scene, you need to use the brush tool, and after right-clicking them, they disappear. If you want to delete the entity, on the other hand, you need to select it and then click delete button on your keyboard. Okay guys, that's basically it if it's about the UI of the Game Maker. If you still got any troubles, leave the comments down below and I'll try to help you up as soon as I can. Okay guys, thank you kindly for watching, have a nice one. Cheers!